Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm Lizzie Cozy, and I'm pleased to be here this morning to kick us off on our thank you program honoring Pastor Jason. We want to make an effort to thank him and recognize him for his 11 years of service to all of us. And so there'll be a series of people from the congregation talking about his work and experiences, and it'll be a lot of fun to reminisce and honor your service to us. So thank you, Pastor Shelley.
Good morning. Pastor Jason and I started here at Zumbro within about 6 months of each other. Now, I don't know if you remember this, Jason, but the very first thing that we did was go out to dinner. We went to Dooley's. We walked from Zumbro's front of our parking lot over how many blocks is it? 4 blocks is. By the time we reached Dooley's, I had already had a sense of who my new colleague was going to be. And we could not have been any more different. Jason was fun and enthusiastic, really enthusiastic. There was nothing understated about him. By the time we reached the end of that dinner, however, I also learned that he was vulnerable and transparent and brave. And I was excited to have a chance to work with someone who brought all of those qualities to this congregation. Because let's be honest, part of being a good pastor is being willing to be exactly who you are. And that is who you have gotten, Zumbro Lutheran Church, over the past 11 years. But here's the beautiful thing. Jason has managed to remain true to those core elements of who he is, and also add to his plate and portfolio. Now, in case you don't know, Jason is a 7 on the Enneagram. That pretty much means that they live out here. They bring the energy and the exuberance and the excitement and the fun, and they want to make sure that everything they do is imbued with joy. When we had met as a staff last Thursday night, that was what came out from the staff members around that room, talking about just how fun it is to work with Jason. Part of the key to being a good colleague is having a sense of humor. And wherever Jason knows, you will know. Wherever he goes, you will know because you will hear him laughing. He's been willing to be, as Paul puts it, a fool for Christ in all of the right ways. He's preached in character. He's acted in skits. He's had a great time on mission trips. You'll hear about all of the ways that he has brought that fun to this place. But Paul goes deeper in that passage from 1 Corinthians. And he says that in order to be a good leader, you need to be willing to take risks. And that is what Jason has done. He's taken risks in expanding his ministry skills, not just beyond pastoral ministry, but in leading committees and teams, in helping shape vision and cast new directions. He's picked up things that have been at risk of falling through the gaps, and he's been willing to carry the load, particularly in the past few years, when we as a staff have been stretched beyond capacity. Jason, over the past 11 years, I've watched you grow in your leadership, I've watched you grow in your preaching, and I've watched you grow in your pastoral identity. But I have been most appreciative of all of the ways that you have stayed true to who you were on that very first day we had dinner. Someone who is filled with joy, who's brave and vulnerable and transparent, who is a church nerd to the core, and who loves what he does. Thank you for being an amazing colleague, a good friend, a great leader, and most of all, a faithful fool for Christ.
Good morning. I'm Jason Jaden, and I would like to share my experiences serving on middle school mission trips with Pastor Jason. In my opinion, you cannot ask for a better person to guide and encourage youth in the formation of their faith. His prior experiences working in camps served us very well. He knows the right balance of service, relaxation, worship, and fun. Under service projects, he would provide valuable leadership by teaching many skills, such as house painting, being willing to climb up to the top of the peak to paint that little top corner when no one else was brave enough to do it, providing maintenance on hiking trails and chopping off all the weeds and trees to make summer recreation important for visitors, gardening, and he's an expert canoeer. One of the most important skills for the adults, though, probably was his coffee making ability. He makes a good cup of coffee. Of course, it was not all about work. He built great relationships with the youth and the people we were serving. It was wonderful to see how easily he would strike up a conversation with someone and always seemed to have the right thing to say. On trips, the evening would conclude with devotion time. He was very good at incorporating events from earlier in the day into the lessons and the prayers. On occasions, we would go off-site to a special location to have devotions, and this made the devotions even more meaningful. One time in South Dakota, we went to a park that had an observation tower. Upon climbing to the top of the tower, you had an awesome view of the prairie and the sunset, and I believe there was a storm approaching too. His devotion was spot on about God's creation, and right at that moment too, he had a prayer just for the weather to be not so bad. Jason also was not afraid to try new things. For many years, we went on service trips organized by YouthWorks, but a few years ago, we tried something new. We went to an adventure camp in northern Wisconsin. And last summer, we had a northern Minnesota camp experience with some built-in projects. These trips were well received and provided our youth with a nice variety of experiences. Finally, I want to share how Pastor Jason made trips fun. He would find fun restaurants for us to eat while we were traveling to the site. And during the week, he would find places for us to explore and relax after a good day of work. This past summer, we did side trips to Split Rock Lighthouse, Baptism River, and Spirit Mountain in Duluth. Fun also meant having ice cream. Even if it meant Jason and I had to walk through the drive-thru at Dairy Queen because the lobby was closed, and we had to wait for 20-some blizzards to be made. Jason, I will remember our experiences, and it was a pleasure serving with you. I appreciate your friendship, and you'll be missed.
Good morning. It is with a heart of celebration and thanksgiving, and perhaps tinged with a little sadness, anticipating your departure, Jason, that I extend our sincere appreciation to you, Jason, for your role in both the remodeling project and the fundraising campaign. As a former council president, I was able to observe Pastor Jason in his interactions with these teams, as well as hear the ongoing updates as the planning and construction moved forward. The communications that I've received from team members who've worked with Pastor Jason have overwhelmingly agreed that he has tirelessly worked with energy and enthusiasm to further the projects over the many, many months of planning and construction. During his time here, Pastor Jason has exhibited important pastoral leadership characteristics. He has remained true to Zumbro's vision during planning and remodeling, even as he was being called upon to take on additional responsibilities due to Pastor Vern's accident and Pastor Lisa's departure. Pastor Jason has stepped forward and stepped into these challenges and has shown strong character of service over self as he has fulfilled additional roles. During this time, he has always kept Zumbro's goals and missions at the forefront. As a co-chair, along with Alan Hansen for the building construction team, Pastor Jason paid attention to details of the project, from schedules to budgets to stewardship of the congregational resources. He was decisive, yet mindful of the importance of receiving input from other staff and congregation when choices needed to be made. When COVID hit, during the construction period, he was able to work with Tracy and Robert to help find solutions, to keep the tenants in our building safe and to keep the project on schedule. We know that your new call will be a wonderful place to grow and share your gifts. They are truly fortunate. I do want to thank you for leading our journey of faith, a personal journey of faith as well, helping us to say goodbye to our parents, marrying our children, baptizing our grandchildren. We will miss you. Your whole family, the energy that you have brought to Zumbro during your time here, and we extend our deep gratitude and we wish you the best as you move into this next phase of your life's journey. Godspeed, dear servant of God.
Jason, this is Bob Jenkins and Sue Jenkins. Jason, I'm going to be the straight man, and Sue's going to be the roaster.
Don't give it away.
we have to kind of give a notice of what's going to happen, you know.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're up here to talk about some of the adult mission trips, specifically Tanzania. Jason was the leader of our second trip to Tanzania in 2013. That was an amazing trip because that was a trip where we timed it almost perfectly. We were there when the container arrived, and we could help unload the container. Many of you in the congregation were actually there when we loaded the container, so it was really cool to be with Jason there to be on the unloading. And that container brought many wonderful pieces of equipment and pharmaceuticals and supplies, and they were desperately needed by the hospital. Jason was going to lead a trip with us in 2020 to Iambi, but COVID hit. And so that trip was canceled, and sadly we haven't been able to go in 2020 or 2021 or 2022. Maybe, hopefully, we'll get there next year. But during COVID, Jason became the leader of our Tanzania team, and he was the principal link between the multiple agencies that are involved in this mission, which many of you may not know about. There's the hospital itself, there's the central diocese of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Tanzania, there's the Southeastern Minnesota Synod, there's Global Health Ministries, and then there's Zumbro. And somebody has to coordinate all that, and Jason did a phenomenal job over this period of COVID. He was a spirit-filled, thoughtful, guided leader of our team, and we will miss him greatly. And we know he'll do great work at his next call. We also know where he's going, and I have to tell you that that is the principal church for Tanzania mission in the St. Paul, Minnesota, and in Minnesota in general. And so we will still hear about Tanzania from Jason. Now, the roaster.
Oh, no. Jason, I never shared with you, on that trip, you were doing a kind of Bible study where you review the same passage day after day. And it was the passage where Jesus sends out the disciples and, take nothing with you, stay where you're welcome. I was so bored. No. And, what is it, 8, 9 years later, I can admit that to you now. But one of my outstanding memories of travel with Jason was on a youth mission trip to Jamaica. And first of all, that he and Lisa had planned to attend a YouTube concert in the Twin Cities. you two. And so they were up till all hours. And then we met the kids here at, I don't know, 4 or 5 a.m. because we had to get to the Twin Cities Airport, and then we wanted plenty of time to, for international check-in. And so he shows up looking totally wrecked. And Lisa, we met at the airport, and Bob travels quite a bit, so he got an upgrade to first class. We gave him our seat so they could sleep on the plane. Then we get to Jamaica, and we divided up the youth so that each of the adults could get, 3 or 4 youth through customs. And we got through with our kids, and we're waiting on the other side, and Jason was held up because the customs officials didn't believe that he was an adult. So yes, Jason, it's been so wonderful to have your leadership. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm tall with this. My name is William Deng. I'm the lay evangelist on the behalf of the Dinka ministries. And the thing I'm going to share with you about Pastor Jason, thing of changing life. When we came to America, it's a little story of mine. When we came to America, as the Sudanese community, we came here as refugees. In 2011, the United Nations and the American government decided to have a country of South Sudan, and they want people to vote for independence. So our team came to Pastor Jason's office, and they asked Pastor Jason, there's a voting going on in Nebraska, and we want to go there and vote for our country. Pastor Jason said, I'm not going to vote for you, but I'll make sure to provide you with the buses. So he decided, so he brought a bus for the Sudanese community, and we were able to go to Nebraska and vote for our country. So this country right now is called South Sudan. Thank you, Pastor Jason. Second was, when our country, new country, there's no hospital and there's no church where we pray, people pray under the trees. This wonderful church and the mission of the Lutheran decided to raise some money. And the church has built around with the clinic. Pastor Jason went there to present the people of this great church. And now the clinic is working and is helping people in the Southern Sudan. Thank you, Pastor Jason. A third one was when we did the remodel of the church here. And I told Pastor Jason, the Sudanese community want to be part of this great mission. So I make a phone call, and that time was a chronic time, you don't talk to anybody. So we did the teleconference team members. So we were able to be part of the great mission of this church when we did the remodel. So we thank Pastor Jason for us to be part of it. Fourth, the one big thing Pastor Jason learned from, it was during the 2020 COVID time, there were almost 30 our elders. They cannot go anywhere to go and get grocery, and we were stuck. There's nothing. So Pastor Jason said, William, I have some gift card from Walmart that we can distribute it to the family, and they can able to buy water and food for them. We did that on behalf of the church, and Pastor Jason did that for us. So we're thankful for that, Pastor Jason. The last one thing Pastor Jason learned from the Dinka ministries is time. When we say time, the Dinka time, there's a two time where we have, there's a Dinka time, there's American time. And we're going to pray at 3 o'clock, they'll be asking me, William, are we going to pray in Dinka time or American time? I'm going to say Dinka time. Dinka time, that means 2:30. Thank you, Father Jason. You will do a wonderful wherever you're going. You've done a wonderful to the Dinka ministries. You've done amazing here. You will do everything wonderful wherever you are. And God will take care of your family and you. Thank you.
I am not that tall. Hi, I'm Kirsten Lincoln, and you may know me from Open Table, and so I've been asked to talk about Pastor Jason in the terms of Open Table. But I also come here standing, intending to talk to you about Zumbro adjacent people. What you may not know about me is that I'm married to a man from Tokyo, and his entire experience of Christianity before he came to the States as an adult was Mormon missionaries on bicycles. And so in the 4 states that we've lived, he's had occasion to experience many Lutheran pastors, and he has a finely honed instinct. And from the very first time that he talked to Pastor Jason, he just said, Jason said this, and Jason said that. And it wasn't really pastor, it was this really cool guy that he was talking to at church. And I was like, that's a pastor. And he's like, oh, really? And the reason I bring this up is because Jason has this amazing ability to connect with people, no matter who they are or whether they speak English or whether they're part of a Christian community or not. And I have appreciated that, not only from my family, because my husband has never felt more welcome anywhere than he has at Zumbro, and a large part due to his ability to discuss sports with Jason, but also because through Open Table, one of the most important parts of Open Table is not the burritos that we serve, but it's the connections that the volunteers make with each other, with other community volunteers, and with our guests and the folks who come to both Zumbro and to our Southeast Marion Road location. So when Open Table started, one of the main things that we need, of course, is drivers, right? And so the very first time that I drive in the truck with somebody, I'm a little nervous just because I'm afraid of that truck. It rattles, it's crazy, it's old. And Pastor Jason got behind the wheel and he was like, oh yeah, I could drive this is everywhere, let's go. And he was going, by my counts, a little fast. But I soon learned that he has this background in driving trucks, and I forget why off the top. I was trying to remember. Farm company driving trucks. And so I had never felt safer in a truck with anyone except for Pastor Jason driving. But the thing that I wanted to highlight here is that at our sites, Pastor Jason would talk to little girls about princesses. He would talk to Spanish-speaking missionary pastors about their mission. He would talk to elderly ladies who may or might not have understood anything he was saying. And he could do that because people were not put off by him in many ways that people who are coming into communities in the way that Open Table does. We are at the risk of being too invasive and too full of ourselves. And so Pastor Jason has this ability to kind of stand there and talk to you and talk to you about things that you're interested and make those connections. And Open Table will definitely miss having that presence. Somebody who is a Lutheran pastor in all the ways that Lutheran pastor kind of stereotypes on the outside, but who can connect with people of all backgrounds, including people like my husband who've only experienced Mormon missionaries. So I feel like I will personally miss him extremely, but people on the outskirts of Zumbros and Zumbro adjacent people are definitely going to miss Pastor Jason. Thank you.
Hi, I'm a stereotypical Lutheran pastor. And as I've grown in ministry through a variety of situations that also included being a bishop, it gives you a bird's eye view of the church and what matters and how things work. And one of the things I've been very struck by is that where you find strong congregations, you will often find pastors that grow and develop and find wonderful gifts in that, You've mentioned that, Pastor Jason. The other thing is that those strong congregations often are very open to the unique gifts that the pastor brings. So it's a wonderful symbiosis that has a way of being generative, and it becomes literally part of the culture. And as you know, cultures are quite persistent. Sometimes the culture is founded by people, and the meaning of the culture has a way of continuing despite it being a long time ago. You see that, of course, in Mayo. And so as you look at churches, you begin to realize, and any bishop will tell you this, it's very, very important to see a church where there's a lot of health, a lot of vibrancy, and there's a culture of mission. And when that is there, it becomes an influence on the surrounding culture and on the surrounding synod. And it's very important, the pastors that go there, because you want to see them grow and thrive. And I experienced, Jason, as I'm giving you on behalf of Zumbro, our very best wishes, because you brought some of the unique, fun-loving characteristics that are so rare among Lutheran pastors. And hey, I'm just having a little bit of fun, okay? But also a keen sense of mission. And one of the things that I appreciate here, I'm coming, in a transition. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that that's what Jason has been dealing with in the last few months. He was absolutely there to help me and to help the church right to the very end. Absolutely. None of this backing off and, just spending his time. I really appreciate that. And I think that that's very consistent with your person. So I really enjoyed it. What's also going to be fun is you're going to go to a church that's also been shaped by some remarkable people. They're known for their missions. You'll bring what you bring, and then you'll end up benefiting from it. And so you just see strength generating strength. And in this time of massive change, when one lay person, my last one, said to me, I want there to be a church for my grandchildren. Well, when churches are thriving and striving, especially in hard times, and they become places where leadership thrives and is incubated and is generative, that becomes all the more important the farther away you get from it, because you realize your grandchildren may not go here. They may go in St. Paul or California, and then you begin to say, wow, we want strength everywhere. And it's so connected to the kind of organism, symbiosis, giving and receiving that the Holy Spirit generates and creates that is so helpful. We don't even realize we're doing it, but that's what happens in a gospel-centered congregation. So, on behalf of the wider church and of Zumbro, our very, very best wishes for your continued growth and the gifts that you will give and contribute to that culture, even as you have contributed to this culture, and this culture has contributed to you. Thank you.
Morning. My name is Jeanette Davis, and you probably are very familiar with my face and my voice, because as I've been thinking about it, my anniversary, my 30th anniversary of being involved in Summer Lutheran Church comes up in December of this year. Amazing. Can't believe it's been 30 years. Oh no, this is not about me. Golly. But I say that because I've seen a lot of pastors come and go from this place, let's just say. And some of them I was happier to say goodbye to than I have been with this one. This has been, I know, well, sorry. It's time for honesty, right? I would have to say this has been my hardest goodbye. Whew. So I'm not going to talk anymore because I'm really bad at talking when I'm feeling emotional. All I do is cry. So first of all, I'm going to introduce this video that says what needs to be said. And then we have a little gift. So. Three, two, one.
Thank you, Pastor Jason!
For making us laugh and for laughing with us. You helped us raise our kids, grieve our losses, and celebrate some of the best moments of our lives.
For reminding us that in God's kingdom, all God's children belong. You taught us to tear down walls and build bigger tables and to work for justice.
For showing us how to live and lead and follow Jesus in authentic ways. You are such a great person.
For leading us in whatever way we needed it most, from worship to mission trips to meeting after meeting, from family camp to hospital visits, to Jamaica and Tanzania, to confirmation, Zed Talks, new members classes, and countless other tests. You showed up for us as our pastor.
For showing us how to build bridges of understanding and peace and reach out with compassion to our neighbors near and far. You share the hope of Jesus with everyone you meet.
For this and all so much more, Pastor Jason, your friends at Zumbro Lutheran Church are forever grateful for your ministry among us and with us. We send you from our community with our love and prayers.
Thanks, Pastor Jason. Thanks, Pastor Jason.
I want to thank my great colleague, Jen Grundler, who did all the video editing, and we worked on that together. So thank you, Jen. And I want to call Jason forward now because we have a little gift from the Faith Formation kids. Jen and I were thinking, oh, what would be fun to do? And thought maybe this would be appropriate to get a lot of kids and people and families involved. So. So you can understand what you're looking at. In the middle are some quilt squares that were created by kids here at Zumbro and families together. And then our wonderful Pastor Lisa. Is she here? Okay. She did the quilting for us. So, and she, in her words, said that she designed this quilt with the people and, of course, the cross at the center, surrounded by the waters of baptism, which just flame out and burst forth in our Jason. So thank you for everything.
Don't go too far. Wow, what a pleasure to hear from all of you this morning about Pastor Jason's ministry here. My family and I joined Zumbro 11 years ago, shortly after Pastor Jason came. And Erica and I were both hugely pregnant with these now 11-year-olds at that moment. And what's been really interesting to think about is the physical changes that we've been able to see over those past 11 years, not just in our families. Jason now looks old enough to have senior in his title, maybe. But I think what's more compelling is the emotional and the intellectual and the spiritual growth that we've all experienced, and it's been such a pleasure to participate in that along with you. So on behalf of the personnel team, we want to present you with this, and to use for your new office or whatever you may need, and want to thank you for your service to us. On your way out, there are cookies baked by Open Table volunteers. You can take some cookies to go. Unfortunately, we can't share a meal together, but we'll all be together in spirit, and we all know that we definitely want you around our dinner table, laughing, spreading joy, and spreading the hope of Jesus. Thank you for your service.
I'm exhausted. No. No. Thank you. It just hearing your stories, I don't hold all of those experiences in my mind all at one time. And so what a joy it is to reminisce with you and to think about all the ways in which we have lived out this mission that God has called us to in this place. And I am so profoundly thankful for these last 11 years. And as much as you've talked about the ways I've shaped you, you have shaped and formed me by the gift of the Spirit. And I am the pastor I am because of all of you and because of this amazing community. To the staff that I've worked with, thank you, Shelley. Thank you for 11 and a half years. I don't remember that dinner, but as soon as you started talking about it, I was like, oh yeah. And just to all those who I've worked with on teams and committees and tried to shape ministry here, what a gift, and I just thank you for all the ways that we've been church together, and I really do look forward. I know, in this world of digital communication and footprints and handprints, and we'll be able to keep track of one another, and I look forward to seeing what God does in this next chapter for Zumbro. I'm excited for you. I really am. I'm excited about the energy and new leadership that will come. I'm excited about a new call. Many of you have asked, and so I, shortly after I sent my letter of resignation, I had no idea what was on the horizon. I really didn't. I knew that there were a few congregations that were in call processes that I might be interested in trying to get an interview in. But when the letter came out, I didn't know, and it wasn't long after that. It might have actually been the week after that I had an opportunity to start conversations with Augustana in West St. Paul. And over the last couple months, we've been in those conversations. And next Tuesday night, the congregation will vote to call me as their lead pastor, not their senior pastor. And so profoundly grateful. And there is no way I'd be prepared for that call had you not allowed me to grow and stretch and push and challenge and fail and get back up and try again, because that's what good churches do. And this is a profoundly good church. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. Go in peace, serve the Lord. Get a cookie.